Hello everyone, welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So again, we're based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania, just outside Philadelphia. If you're in the area between Baltimore, Philly, Jersey, whatever, do me a favor, reach out to me on the boards. I'm SirMC 2015 or Green Dragons Gaming at Gmail, either one. And this is a very unique game. So as many people know who are probably watching this, is I've been head of play testing. So, and with all the reason why I've not been producing any of the any more material as of late, in my opinion, is because one is the one tournament I went to, I just wasn't able to get off enough good pictures to be able to depict how the game went. I just actually went down to Mountain Mayhem, had an awesome time, got my butt handed to me twice, actually only one time, by Shannon. For those of you in the area who know Shannon, extremely good player, one of the best players to play against because he's so even keel, he's so good, he's so nice. I can't say enough about the man. And he beat me very, very soundly due to tackle error on my part, and he outplayed me just flat out. And I love that. I absolutely love that. The other loss I had, which was a much closer game, happened to be because it was another Ogre's army, so I lost twice to Ogres. And, again, another very good player. It was a very tough, hard-fought, close game. I wish I did have pictures, but in time management, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. As a matter of fact, Shannon even said, you play kind of slow. Some of it is because playing dwarves, you have to be tactical, extremely tactical, but also I was taking time to do picks, so I stopped. And I greatly apologize to those who view my channel. I think I'll have, because I've been using my phone, sometimes the updates are slow, so I'll figure out something. So as I was saying, is head of playtesting, haven't been putting up much there. So what we did is we decided to get a game in, and we actually did use 2.0 rules for this battle report. If you are looking for some insight to 2.0, you're not going to get it from this video. Just know that we did use 2.0 rules, and we had a blast doing it. And I want everyone to see is like the game isn't going to change. There's whether there be new terminologies or things like that to represent old terminologies, the game itself, the essence of the game is there, and it will not be changing. So on to moving forward, we have a three-way battle. So again, this was just a game for fun. We were just sitting down, like, let's do a quick list, and let's see what we can do. So it's Warriors of the Dark Gods versus Dread Elves versus Sylvan Elves. So Dan was playing Warriors at Dark Gods. Pretty Boy was playing as Dread Elves, and I was playing Sylvan Elves. And I'm going to apologize now for the lack of color on all the models. I won't lie, most of the models on the board are mine, and they all could have been mine. Ryan didn't have to field any of his, but he chose to because I moved back in August, and mine are still in boxes, which is scary. And we were dishing out trying to find all these models. And you will see lizards for Warriors of Dark Gods, and that's because I'm making a Lizards of the Dark Gods army, so I can use it as two different styles. So here we go. Here's the board. So if you look at the board, if you ever want to do a fun game, a three-way game, the way to do it is you have two armies set up in corners that are 18 inches going up, and then you just draw the hypotenuse there so that it's a straight line, and that's your deployment zone. And then you turn around and you have the same thing going on, provided in the middle of the board. So, all you do is you measure out the dimensions of what you have there, which I think is 13 by 18, and you do 13 by 18. It's as easy as that. And that's how we turn around and did that. And as you can see, via deployment, all three armies are just about equidistant from one another, because that's always the one issue when doing a three-way game, is that you have one person stuck in the middle who's going to get picked on. So if you do it this way, first off, you have to keep the points low. So 3,000 points is the max I would recommend. Maybe 3,500, but max I would say would be 3,000. And it's just fun. Everyone's involved. Everyone, and I'll go through the phases and everything else. And as you can see, we were definitely drinking because that is a glass of scotch there on the table. I think by the end of the game, I had about 5 glasses of scotch. So it was all in fun and good. So what you do is whoever finishes deploying first gets a +1 to their roll for first turn, and then it goes second roll, third roll. So Ryan ends up getting first turn, and yeah, that's it. Let's see. Were there any scouts or vanguards? No. And I know I don't have the army list up. Again, we're using 2.0 rules. I can't really divest too much as to what was going on. And that's it. So Ryan took magic. I took magic. Dan did not take any magic. So the Equitane Knights are going to be Cold One Knights. That's the one thing that I could not find, and I have probably 20 Cold One Knights somewhere. So we just use my Equitane models. And those are, of course, Blaze of Knob, and Legionnaires, Dread Legionnaires. There he's got 2 units of Blaze of Knob. The Kraken is a Kraken, and the Hydra, which is a very old model, is a Hydra. And I'm trying to remember what he did. He kept casting this spell out of Witchcraft, which actually turns out to be a very decent lore. That you take a leadership test -2, and if you fail, you panic, therefore running off the board. And he kept casting that on me. I'm leadership 9, so leadership 7, but my BSB was close by, so it just wasn't even an issue. And that's that. So that was a very uneventful phase. I spread out as thus, trying to have a even keel towards both of my opponents at this point in time, because I have the range advantage. I have, but I don't have the units advantage, so that goes to Dan. That's it. So again, my turn, fairly uneventful. I picked Ryan as my opponent. I was able to put 1 wound on his. Did I? It's showing up as my next slide. All right. Well, I put 1 wound on. Why is it going the wrong way? That's why. There we go. So I put 1 wound on his Kraken via shooting, so I was pretty happy about that. And then it goes to Dan's turn. So the 2 ogres there are 2 spawns again. Just the stuff's in boxes, so we just we did proxy a bunch of stuff. The Equitane Knights there are going to be the knights for Chaos Knights. The Chariot is his general, who's beefy, that has a few marks. I don't know what marks have been mentioned, not mentioned, so I'm going to, like I said, you're not going to get anything as to what's new in the game, but I just want to make sure everyone sees it's still the same. It's still the same feeling and everything else. So, and those are one of the, I forget the names, but basically they're like a Forsaken style model that if you turn around, that you turn, you can get damaged, and they're good for attacks, but they're like little dart bullets type of thing. Do high damage output, but you don't expect them to live. His dogs had moved up like 24 inches or something ridiculous like that. And that's that. So now on to the Dread Elves turn 2. His Kraken charges the dogs and basically eats the dogs. He takes the wall, and that was it. There's a picture of him eating the dogs, and he goes yum, 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 yum. So Ryan's goal was to make it off the field with his Kraken, and he wasn't able to do that. He only moved 4 inches, and he's like, crap. Oh well, it's a Kraken. I can take the Knights. Um, and there's a Beastmaster being represented by the Green Knight. You can just see him in the back left of the quote unquote Dread Knights. And that has some really, really cool rules. Again, I don't know what was disclosed or what wasn't disclosed, so I'm not saying more than that, but it's got some really cool rules, some really good interactions. I'm really happy about that. Overall, I'm fairly happy with the way the Dread Elves is turning out. Um, as a Sylvan Elf player, I'm actually fairly happy with the Sylvan Elves. It still feels like Sylvan Elves, and I'm more of a even keel player. Like I'll do well-rounded lists, and yeah, I still had no issues with what I had on the board, um, and to how it performed. So let's see. I think that I'm trying. Oh, that's he's using that Harpy model as a familiar, just so that's in the current book that like you can turn around, put it out from your caster, and cast your spells from that. So there was that. So then we're going to go on to Sylvan Elf turn. I'm able to kill a couple of the Blades of Knob. And let's see. Over here, we're now into the Warriors of the Dark Gods turn. Sorry for not doing general picks. Again, we were trying to have fun and keep everything moving. So Warrior Dark Gods, he ends up charging. Let me go back a few pictures. He ends up charging his knights into the Kraken over there because it's still up on the hill, and he marches everything forward. He's trying because again he's close combat oriented. Weakness of Warrior Dark Gods is range attacks. So again, he doesn't really have any range, and that's it. So up to here, all those dead, that is all dangerous terrain tests. I think the dangerous terrain killed almost more of his army throughout the game than anything else. And as I said, the Kraken had turned around and got charged. He just whiffed his attacks. As you can see, Dan still has 5 knights, and the Kraken is running away and has multiple wounds on it. So he was real happy, real excited about that. And here's how the board looks at the end of turn 2 of the 3-way battle. Now, one thing I am going to say is if you're doing a 3-way battle and you're doing magic, what you do is you pick an opponent for that round of magic. And the fair thing to do is if you're going to be casting offensive spells, that's who you pick as your opponent. And that's it. You can just, and now you can always choose to turn around and do offensive spells going against both opponents, but when you cast that offensive spell, that opponent has a chance to respond. If you're doing a non-offensive, like a buff spell, then you pick one of those two opponents to turn around and respond in return. So that's the fair way that we've been able to come up, and it works very, very well as a 3-player game, and that's it. So here's how the board looks. So the Kraken's shafting up the knights, and that was it. Over here, Nellie's trying to work its way around the terrain piece. I've got my, and the one thing I always forget is that the Sylvan Elves have basically Murder's Prowess went in the woods, and I completely forgot about the entire game. And what else? He moved up the knights. He rallied his Kraken and just moved everything forward. So over here, it's Sylvan Elves turn 3. I turn around and I charge the Blades of Knob. I believe the Blades chose to flee. You know what? I thought they were fearless. I don't think he was able to do that, but he chose to flee as a charge reaction, I believe. Either that or I crushed them very badly, and that's how they ended up. You know what? I know. Yeah. Yeah, no, we're going to have to relook into that because I think something there was an oops. And anything else happened? I know I killed a couple things via shooting. And that was that. Oh, on the far side, my Dryads charged the dogs, and I ate the dogs, and then I overran into the other unit of Knights on the far side, and we'll see how that combat goes. So there's that. My Wild Riders, is it here in this? Okay, so my Wild Riders had charged the spawn, and then overran into whatever that Forsaken style unit is, and is then going to be in combat during that second um, his combat phase. And there's that. There's that eating the spawn. Now the model on the left that actually has a rider on it, that's actually my prince. My prince was pretty decked out to the point that he had 9 attacks on him. Again, I'm not going to say what he had, but let's just say he was a close combat monster for Sylvan Elves. He really, really was. So here's a board pick. That is, so now it's Chaos Warriors of Dark Gods turn 3. He's trying to get his stuff into position. And he does, Dan does turn around and charge the Kraken. Release the Kraken! That's all he did. So in close combat, the Kraken whiffed again. It wasn't a question of whiffing. It was the fact that Dan also was making his armor saves too. Because it ends up, again, Kraken, I believe, is strength 7, so a 1-up goes to a 5-up. And Dan was making 5-ups. He lost 1 knight and kills the Kraken. And then overruns into the Dread Legionnaires, or whatever they're called. On the other side, we did that combat. And the way combat works is you roll for every combat, whether or not it's your army's turn or your opponent's army's turn, every combat phase. All right, so this way it keeps the game moving, keeps all players involved. So the Dryads ran up. I lost 4 Dryads to no wounds to him. And I break, I run, and he catches me. I think I ran 2 inches. I go, however, because he overran, he loses 3 knights. Count them, 3 knights to the wall. 3 knights to the wall. Just bad luck. And over here, yeah, I didn't even take a wound. The spawn took 2 wounds from shooting and magic previously, but yeah, that was basically it. And he did try to get it into their flank and just failed. There was a rule on those things that that we didn't care for, but that's in our internal playtesting report. And over there, I believe the Chaos Knights won. That was almost a huge pillow fight over there. And then there's that. Again, here comes the Hydra. Oh no. I'm trying to remember what happened here. Okay, so the Dread Knights with you can always tell the Dread Knights because it's got the Grey Knight who's the BSB for Ryan's army charges into. So it's now turn 4. It's Dread Elf's turn 4. He's positioning himself. He's getting the Hydra around the flank. He's positioning the Blaze of Nom to at least try to hold against the Tree Man or Tree Father, and he's got those little darts in front of the Dread Knights. So those are probably going to be dead Dread Knights. But again, there's another picture, and there is a picture of dead Dread Knights. And I don't think the Dread Knights lost the model in that combat. Sylvan Elves turn 4. Again, the Tree Father turns around and charges. I put myself more into the forest, so he's going to at least have to take DTs for going into the woods because I'm a Sylvan Elf, and also the rerolls to wound, which I completely forgot about. And over here, no, that is not dead. It just fell over. So what I did is I won that combat, and I had reformed. or did a combat pivot so that I could turn around and go different directions and have more options open. So I went around. I did not want to mess with the character on a chariot because let's be honest, it's a killer character. Um, so I went into the Blades of Nob, and I end up eating those Blades of Nob over here. The tree father is going to turn around and eat those Blades of Nob. I think I killed them to a man and then overran. There's a picture of that. And during my shooting phase, I killed both of those knights between my two units of archers. Again, I ate them over here. So let's go back a few picks to the tree father. So if you look at where the tree father is, if I overrun, I can then get into that combat all the way over there. So it's my turn. I chose to do that combat first. So I overran. I ran like 9 inches or something ridiculous like that. I get into that combat. So then we fight that combat. So the way you do multiple combats for multiple players is who has the highest combat score. You can still be steadfast and all that, but who has the highest combat score? And what ends up happening is he ends up killing two of the knights. We end up killing him down to a single model, so no more steadfast with that unit. He ends up breaking. They both end up running away based off of combat scores, and that was that. So there goes his mage, and I'm trying. Something did that to me, and I don't know what. Killed 4 of my guys. I seriously don't know. I don't recall being shot or anything. So it must have been some type of magic effect or something like that. You know what it was? I do. It was that spawny thing turned around and went into them. I failed to do its final wound to it until close combat. And then I was able to kill it, but I was down to 1 archer at that point in time. So over here, as I said, I ate them. Now the Dread Knights charged. They actually did charge. So that actually happened during Ryan's turn. I forgot to mention it. The Dread Knights charged the character in the chariot, and that ended up being one huge pillow fight. Just one huge pillow fight at that point in time. It should have been advantage Sylvanels, or not Sylvanels, Dread Elves, but yeah, that was just one huge pillow fight. And over here, Ryan had charged in with the Hydra. It's now turn 5. And those are going to probably be Munchies and Crunchies. And there's that. That was turn 5. And yep, so not quite as many as there were a while ago. And that's it. I have no idea why I took this picture. Other than it was my turn, I did a few reforms. Again, that's a huge pillow fight up at the top. Actually, the Chaos, I'm sorry for using that older term. The Warriors of the Dark Gods character is actually winning that combat against that big brick of Dread Knights with the BSB. Now, if you see, you can just see the tail end of the single knight. The single knight goes charging into the Tree Father. During that combat, I whiffed. I absolutely whiffed. So I lost combat, but I'm stubborn 8. I rolled a 9, 10, or 11. So, whatever I rolled too high. Let's say I rolled an 11. So I broke, I ran, and I got ran down. He did nothing to me but the charge. And I'm going, oh no. As it is, c'est la vie. As you can see, the combat with the Dread Knights and his brick of warriors and the Lord is not going well for the Dread Elf. However, Nelly is performing well, and it now has me down to 4 models there. And that was it. So over here, I wanted to see what the character could do against the other character. Otherwise, I was going to charge it into the unit of warriors because I knew I was going to kill the unit of warriors hands down. There wasn't even a question in my mind. But I really wanted to see what character on character could do. And honestly, Warrior of the Dark God character wins, by the way. So over here, I actually rallied on turn 6. And during my turn, I was able to get off I took Druidism, so Summer Growth, and I now got that unit back above 25%. So not only did I not lose the unit, but he got no points from me. And all I can say is this was just such a fun game. I'm sorry it seems very convoluted as a battle report, but it was a lot of fun. So at the end of the day, the results are victory to the Warriors of Dark Gods. He got the most points, but it was a real close, only a couple hundred points difference with the Sylvan Elves, and had the different tactics. But we really wanted to see what could happen because those were 2 close combat monsters going at it. And of course, third, had to be Dread Elves at that point. We just had a blast. If you want the rules for how to play a 3-way game, do me a favor, reach out to me on the 9th Age boards. I'll gladly reach out to you and tell you exactly how to do it and how to come up with secondary objectives, which we did not do, but it's modifications from the big rule book. And overall, for 2.0, I'm excited for a lot of what I see. I'm still going to be playing my dwarfs. So those of you who are dwarf fans, please know I still plan on playing them. But I think I am most happy going back. I'm going to go back to the very beginning where we can see all 3 armies. Come on. Yeah, there we go. And there's a picture of Pretty Boy. So between the 3 armies, I'm most pleased, personally, with the Dread Elves. I'm liking the Sylvan Elves. It has the feel. And the Warriors of the Dark Gods, I don't want to comment because it's not that it's bad. I don't want to comment because there's still too much going on with that. But this was just such a fun game, and that's it. If you have any questions, causes, or concerns, please definitely reach out to me. Sorry for the lack of pink color on the board and the proxies. Once I fully get settled, so maybe 3 years from now, I will have all the armies out, and hopefully by then they will be fully